What's up? Welcome to episode 41 of Comic Book Nation, the official podcast of Comicbook.com. I'm your host, Kofi Outlaw, and with me today is my co-host, Matthew Aguilar.
What up?
And we've brought back one of your all-time favorites, the queen of anime herself. Megan Peters is joining us on the couch. I think for the first time for something like totally non-anime related, which is a big milestone. But
yeah,
I mean, the people want to see you, so we got to bring you back. So here we are.
Hey, I love all of you.
All right. So if we're not doing anime stuff, what are we doing with Megan today? Well, we have a lot to talk about across the board today. We have some Marvel news to talk about. We got some big developments in the Star Wars universe to discuss. We have a popular franchise from a couple of years ago that seems to be making a return. And we are going to take some time to break down what's going on in the DC Films universe, because there's been a few developments that are worth discussing and updating you guys on. And we are going to review Marvel Netflix's Jessica Jones Season 3, a.k.a. the season that barely mattered. So we're going to get to all of that, and we're going to start right here at the top by talking about something that has just happened, which is the MTV Movie Awards, which is something I'm not going to dedicate too much of my life space to right now, because I was done with my teenage years many years ago. So
you don't still watch MTV?
I mean, I watch a little ridiculousness, and I have a trashy Jersey Shore obsession that I don't like to talk about because I like to be respected by people, so I don't talk about it a lot.
There's no judgment here. Only just
not.
like
I feel like that's never been true of this place of business.
Well, that's
ever.
fair.
Yeah.
But this is the only time of year I tune in to MTV, is these.
Yeah.
The
Like
awards?
Yeah, it's like the award
Absolutely.
shows. Yeah.
I actually watch, it's sad, but I watch the music video, like the Video Music Awards, just so I can stay with it, just so I'm not like completely lost. And now, year by year, most of those are just getting to me like, me Googling, who is this?
Yeah.
Like, who is this baby?
Yeah, it's like, I don't know who you are. Literally, the only reason I watched last night was to see Lizzo perform. That's it.
Okay, well, I'm not going to go through the show too much because, like I said, this is not our cup of tea, and this is not what we discuss very often on this podcast. But there was something of note, and Marvel had some big wins last night, so those are worth talking about, right? Because who knows? I mean, this might be the only awards Marvel get. I'm not betting on the Golden Globes or Oscars, so we'll take the MTV Movie Awards, I guess, where Avengers Endgame won for Best Movie, which was that's a big one. It was the biggest award of the night. So, like, fans were really feeling Avengers Endgame, and it won. But that wasn't it. RDJ, Robert Downey Jr., won Best Hero.
Nice.
Which is kind of awesome for his big
goes
story
right in
arc
line.
and sacrifice as Iron Man. And it's kind of like one of those good ones you give somebody at the end of their whole run for the entire run, because, I mean, this is the guy who launched the modern superhero movie franchise, and now he's kind of finished out, and he got a very epic and powerful ending in Avengers Endgame, so that's well-deserved. I mean, that's the award he's been chasing his whole career. So.
I mean, yeah.
I mean, isn't that the
Are they still
award
the popcorn?
everyone is?
Are they
yes,
still the popcorn?
it's still
Okay.
giant popcorn.
Golden popcorn.
They have a great design. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
I mean, that's not a bad thing. I'm not hating on the award. Something that makes you hungry and you can beat a thief to death with is something I try to keep around the house, too. Thanos won Best Villain, which, Josh Brolin really put in some work to make Thanos kind of a household name now. So.
Who else was in that category?
Don't ask me. Don't ask me questions.
Don't ask. We are only relevant to the Marvel aspect.
Yeah, that's as much as I've dipped my toe in. That's as much as I'm willing to dip my toe in.
Fair enough.
I don't know. And you can take the last one because you were really happy about this last one.
I was excited. Captain Marvel took Best Fight, which, by the way, was against Endgame's Captain America versus Thanos fight.
Which
Well, yeah, I think it beats that. Yes. And then also, it was against the main event of WrestleMania, which was Becky Lynch, Charlotte Flair, and Ronda Rousey. So, like, I mean,
all your faves.
I mean, yeah, like
fighting one another.
This category was like made for me. So, I mean, other than having like a Golden Girls throwdown, like this is perfect. So, yeah, it's good competition and won as it should.
Plus, she brought out her stunt actors.
Oh my God,
her.
yes.
And she was basically like, I mean, thank you for this award, but like without these ladies to my side, like this wouldn't have happened. And I was like, you know what? Give credit to those stunt actors. Like they put in so many hours and they never get
So which Captain Marvel fight won?
Awards they need.
The one against Minerva. And it was that. So essentially that last fight scene, like on Marvel's ship, that kind of went out to when they were like flying and Minerva's shooting. Like it's kind of, I guess they considered that whole sequence. So yeah.
Yeah.
Plus, that was a good moment of that movie for sure.
Right, and the soundtrack and like all that stuff hits and
Plus, I think
was that I'm Just a Girl? Yeah, that's pretty good.
And I think everyone overlooked a very important moment during the award show that Black Adam and Shazam met up. No one noticed.
I didn't notice that, but that's a really good.
I think
Yeah.
we need more people to have seen and care about Shazam.
Well, The Rock
gets
won an
love for
award.
just showing up anywhere.
Well, he was accepting the Generation Award.
Yeah,
I saw.
he was accepting, and good old Zachary Levi gave it to him, and you could tell Zachary Levi looked terrified because he just looked at him and was like, "One day, I'm gonna have to fight you, and one day I will lose."
Rock's an imposing dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody's going to debate that.
He's an imposing guy.
If this was the understatement podcast, you really wanted.
A+.
Just to wrap this whole thing up, just to let you know who the other best villains were.
You looked it up.
Yeah, I did. It was the serial killer lady from Killing Eve, the evil commander from The Handmaid's Tale, Joseph Fiennes, Lupita Nyong'o in Us, and the stalker guy from You.
Dude, he was really good. That show's awesome.
I know, but like clearly, like they was it?
Yeah, there was no contest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was
Thanos
just
gonna
curious
win
about
one.
that.
Here's a bunch of really creepy people, and then Thanos, and you're like, okay.
The closest one for me is Killing Eve, but yeah, Thanos would win. Sorry.
I'm sorry, I'm not with you guys on the Captain Marvel thing. I feel like my girl Arya Stark got robbed.
Oh, that was the other one.
Game of Thrones and the White Walkers. I mean, I think that was the most captivating fight of the year. I mean, single battle moments that really captured pop culture. I think that was it. But I'm not hating because I like.
I'm honestly amazed that didn't win.
Yeah, me too.
I was looking at
so
that
a lot
list.
of people apparently, but it's the MTV Movie Awards. So how much outcry do you really want to care about?
I think Kofi secretly wants a golden popcorn.
I mean, I wouldn't be opposed for it for like this podcast or something.
Best podcast.
We could just technically go to the theater, get some popcorn, spray painted gold.
Oh yeah.
No, I want the MTV masses to worship me. I need that. So, for this podcast, season 2 goals.
Got it.
2 goals.
Fair enough.
Episodes
Noted.
100 to 200. This is what we're going for.
Put it on the whiteboard.
All right, so that's enough promoting MTV. Let's move right along and talk about. There was a big development in the Star Wars universe. Star Wars has its new own Kevin Feige that got kind of put in place. I'm a big believer. I just call that like it's a job title now.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Well, I mean, that's what I just say. Like I've been saying about DC. Like I mean, it's hard to say because Kevin Feige, you're always like head of Marvel Studios. Marvel Studios for the president of this. Blah. We just say a Kevin Feige. Like DC needs a Kevin Feige. Star Wars now has its Kevin Feige, and Star Wars Kevin Feige is. Actually, Michelle, I don't want to butcher your name, Michelle. I'm sorry, Rejwan, I think is best way I can say that. Michelle Rejwan, who has worked with Lucasfilm before. She was kind of worked with JJ for a long time on a lot of his films. So she worked on The Force Awakens. She was also kind of instrumental in working with JJ on films like Super 8. So she has experience kind of taking on blockbuster level things that have a lot of moving parts, and she's now been put in charge of Star Wars TV and films and kind of developing that. So
it's a perfect time for
She's
that
about to get real busy with Disney Plus on the horizon.
Right, like
barring just The Mandalorian, but it pops
her
off.
official title is Senior Vice President of Live Action Development and Production.
That's an enviable title.
Right, that's a nice placard. I think
it's a long business card.
In comparison to DC, where people coming in are trying to like right the ship or change and adjust things, I really think she's coming in at a perfect time.
Yeah, I mean she is. She's a producer on the final installment of the Skywalker saga, the upcoming Star Wars Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker. And afterwards, like, the groundwork is already there for what she has to kind of do and pull off. But obviously, it's these 2 big Star Wars TV shows that are coming from the Disney Plus service, The Mandalorian and Cassian Andor series, the Rogue One prequel. There's also been rumors of a 3rd series that's coming, and it could be Obi-Wan Kenobi. So, and she has these 3 new films, which are coming from the Game of Thrones guys, David Benoist and D.B. Weiss. And so this is like a perfect time because she's not like being thrown under the bus. Like Star Wars has already made its stumbles. They've already decided to kind of slow down, take their time, and really develop these new things. And so she has time to kind of really work on them and develop them and focus on them and make sure each component is good, and also make sure they kind of interlock and interplay in a very sensible kind of continuity way.
Yeah, that complement each other.
Yeah, that complement each other. So I think this is a good idea. And I think if she's kind of had experience working with people like JJ and Lucasfilm president Kathleen Kennedy, that's a good kind of middle level-headed thing, because they can be, like Kathleen Kennedy obviously can have her own strong opinions as, Chris Lord and Phil Miller.
Yeah.
Like kind of Phil Lord and Chris Miller.
Now you have
At this point,
Yeah.
they're interchangeable.
I was with you because it sounded right, and then I was like, oh no,
I
I'm
think it's
doubting now.
Chris Miller and Phil Lord, yeah.
Yeah, Phil Lord.
Yeah,
It's
21 Jump
definitely
Street
Phil
guys learned during Solo, like, yeah, Kathleen Kennedy is still, like, the authority over there. So, I think all said and done, like, yeah, this is a good time to really have somebody who's managing the parts, because Star Wars has been kind of contained to their individual, like, creators and directors, and it seems like that hasn't necessarily worked out the best way. So it's good to have a Kevin Feige. Always have a Kevin Feige.
Absolutely.
Oh,
I'm really proud. Congratulations to her, because she was just like a loose producer, exec producer,
Yeah, that's
this,
an
that, and the
awesome
other.
promo.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
you
definitely
just got,
huge.
Like, the
I'm
hot
just-
promotion.
I'm so curious how this like went down behind the scenes, but also I was pretty excited to see like the fan reaction, save for like the usual trolls you get who are still complaining about The Last Jedi. Like most people were pretty positive to see this like directional change, so I'm
Yeah.
supporting her.
Yeah, man. I'm here for it.
And it's
so.
nice to see it before a franchise hits rock bottom. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like typically this move doesn't get done until something is just in the dirt and they're like, all right, we got to resurrect it.
PR
It's nice.
image.
Yeah, like it's nice to see it like, oh, hey, we were just on a downswing and we can be on an upswing quick. It's nice.
Yeah, man. I'm here for it, like I said. So the best of Michelle, and please make this galaxy fun again. Oh man, I didn't mean.
Oh, God.
I didn't mean for that to come out that way.
Oh,
I didn't mean for it to come out that way.
he meant it.
I genuinely just meant it the way. Oh, man.
The narrator says he meant it to come out that way.
Here we go. Here we go. All right, down the rabbit hole we go. Moving right along then. So if we're going to get into weirdly authoritative political stuff, it's a good
Yes.
topic to bring up is the Hunger Games, where we are all headed. So,
Which one of us is going to try to do the whistle?
I can't whistle, so I'm screwed.
yeah, I'm not doing that.
Yeah, just pretend you hear that.
Yeah, kind of.
Insert whistle here.
I wish I could.
But
I can't.
Hunger Games, going into the 2010s, I mean, this was one of the biggest things in novels, in YA novels, was the Hunger Games, of course. Then it became the huge movie franchise that launched Jennifer Lawrence's career to the next stratosphere. Yeah, it's so crazy to think about like how long ago that was now, and man, it just feels like the Hunger Games came and went, and
yeah.
I've still been alive, but like I don't know what's happened to my life since then. All right.
Yes, it's the prequel, so it's like 64 years
Yeah,
before.
so-
Talks about like the restoration period, like
Yeah.
talking about like I don't know. I have very strong feelings about young
So
adult
let's just
novels.
frame this. So author
So-
Suzanne Collins is writing a prequel
Yes.
novel to the Hunger Games trilogy that she wrote.
Yes,
right now. Like she's
yeah.
in the middle of writing it.
I'm
Yep.
pretty sure. I think it's.
Is it done?
It's
Okay.
coming out in like early next year, so
Okay.
like she at least has to have.
So this
the
is not a
first
George
draft
R. R.
done.
Martin thing.
No,
like-
it has a definitive date
Okay.
because Lionsgate has said they're doing a
Yeah,
movie
set
script
for
based
release
on it.
on May 19th of 2020.
Okay.
Yeah,
So,
like-
this is
There's definitely at least a draft done. I
and
hope.
it's
I
set.
hope.
If you don't know the history of the Hunger Games, it's set in a world in a nation called Pan Am, which is like America sort of. That's broken up into 12 districts, 13 really. Spoilers for very old books. But yeah, that are conquered by this kind of authoritative government that kind of to keep there's a rebellion, which this book covers the dark days after the failed rebellion against the kind of authoritative government of Pan Am. And because of that rebellion, and to remind people of the rebellion and how it got squashed, the government eventually puts together the Hunger Games, which are kind of a ceremony to remind people of the uprising and the failure and blah, 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 blah. So this is going to be set during the dark days and basically leading up to what will be the Hunger Games and the rebellion and all that stuff. So that's what we're... I love this. They put out a promo that just says, The Hunger Games, untitled Pan Am novel with a picture of with a freaking feather on it.
I mean,
and
it makes
release
sense.
date.
It's a little less than stellar as a teaser image, but yeah.
Yeah.
Untitled Pan Am novel. It's like they went to one of our databases and like one of our database pages.
They were too excited to know.
Yeah,
They couldn't wait.
It'd just be hilarious if it had like clip art, like pulled from wherever, like at the very bottom.
And obviously, there's an obvious reason why. I mean, this novel will be relevant now. I think a lot of the worries about authoritativism and where the world is headed, and are we headed for some kind of dark ages, that kind of anxiety is what Collins will play with now, and kind of be like, we could be headed for the Hunger Games, you know? So, there. Now, let's just be clear. This is before Katniss Everdeen is alive, so no Katniss Everdeen.
Right.
But Lionsgate, the film production company that was behind the entire Hunger Games series, is already looking at this like a snack and is already kind of teasing that.
I feel like they're just hovering over her shoulder.
They were 900% gonna like do their own. If Suzanne Collins was like, I'm okay, I don't want to do this anymore, they would have figured out a way to do it.
Because they're just sitting there. Oh yeah, we already got the script. It's coming. Like man, ease.
Yeah, I mean,
relax.
Lionsgate chairman, here's the quote. As a proud home of the Hunger Games movies, we can hardly wait for Suzanne's next book to be published. We've been communicating with her during the writing process, and we look forward to continuing to work closely with her on the movie. So let me translate that for you kids. This guy just basically said, you're not going to George R.R. Martin us. Like, we're going to be over your shoulder with a gun in the back of your head, and as soon as you are done, we are optioning this. Like, hurry up and get done.
Yeah.
Lionsgate needs that money. So, this was like one of the big... I mean, this was like when Lionsgate was really feeling itself. I mean, it was doing things like swooping up Summit Entertainment. They were like, we're going to get this Twilight money. We're going to get this Hunger Games money. We're going to get all this YA money. Until that YA money started going down the drain because,
LOL Divergent.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. Divergent, Maze Runner. Ugh, I mean...
I actually like the first one in that franchise.
Maze Runner?
Divergent.
Oh.
Oh.
I actually like that movie.
I mean, it's just...
I didn't like the rest of them, but I like that movie.
It's just this whole conversation is kind of interesting to me because by necessity, young adult novels, the people who kind of grew up with the Hunger Games, reading it, which then promoted it, a lot of those people have kind of grown out of that YA phase, which I'm not saying young adult is just for young adult novels. I still enjoy them very much. Wait, I am young adult. This doesn't help my argument. Anyways, ignoring that tangent, like, I'm curious to see what this reception will be and like who this novel will be for. Like, I'm really curious if this prequel in the subsequent movie will be like YA or if they're just going to be like, nah, it's kind of just more like a older take on it.
Because that's not the audience anymore, right?
Yeah, I mean, kind of growing up with the audience, but also especially the content it's going to be discussing, like the failed like rebellion. It's going to get dark. I mean, there were some really dark parts of the Hunger Games. I mean, the last book and the last two films obviously dove into it.
Pretty dark.
Yeah,
pretty
so I can only expect that this prequel will do the same. So I'm interested to see like
blown up.
Wow.
Spoilers.
Yeah, it was still too soon. So I'm just curious to see like what kind of audience. They're absolutely going to position it as young adult because that's what will sell book money.
Yeah.
But I'm curious what they'll do with the movie tone-wise.
Well, and that's one of the biggest things that the original franchise did, right? Was appeal to that. It's about that demographic that it pulls into theaters, which is so hard, as we've seen this summer, to do reliably. So, I mean, yeah, it would seem like the movie will aim at young adult. The book, though, I would be very I'm interested as well.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like at this point,
older.
It would have to be for the generation that grew up with the books and is now facing kind of the hard existential questions of society and the world and the times we live in and stuff like that.
Here's the question, though. How many movies out of one book? Because that last book, right?
Oh, God.
Did they split it and do two movies from one book, or did they?
No, they gave you two halves of a movie.
Yeah.
One was just everybody dying. The second one and the first one was everybody talking.
So are they going to do that for this?
If they do, well,
I mean, I feel like
one book was made.
I feel like it's going to be a one book to one movie ratio, but then you're going to find out it's like a 5-book series.
Well, that's
like
probably
I have
Beast.
very little doubt that if this prequel does well, she's got like several in the back ready to just be like, hey, by the way, we're ready
Go
to
full
go.
Star Wars, do a sequel trilogy too. After that, I don't know.
Yeah.
So we'll see. But Hunger Games making a comeback
yeah, buddy.
before the Hunger Games are established.
I really wish I
I
could.
hope it's just called like the games or the full games.
Pan Am.
I'm hungry.
The slightly hungry games.
That's what it should be called. I'm hungry.
All right. Well, moving right along, we got a couple quick shout-outs to do since it seems we have time. Matt had one and Megan had one, so I'm going to let you guys shine. Matt, what's your shout-out?
So if you are a big tabletop fan, you will probably have noticed, or hopefully you will notice after this, that we cover a lot of great board games and also role-playing games over at Comic Book. So if you go to the link tabletop gaming, if you just type that in to Comicbook.com, you will find a ton of reviews, previews, a bunch of D&D deep dives, previews of games that are out. So, and a ton more coming. So it's just FYI, make sure to keep a bookmark on that link. So.
Yes, I will absolutely do that for you if you do the same for me with anime. For those curious, because I am the queen of anime, My Hero Academia just released its like full trailer for season 4, and most importantly, it announced that it has a premiere date, October 12th. So if anyone's been eager to catch back up with that series, it's one of the most popular anime out there. Period right now. So everyone's excited for that. The fall season looks like it's going to be absolutely insane. So people just want to make sure they keep an eye on All Might right now. Be a good idea.
Booyah, will do.
All right, that'll do it for our shout-outs. You guys should stay tuned because when we come back, we are going to talk about a big list of DC movie updates we need to discuss, and we are going to review Marvel Netflix's Jessica Jones Season 3, so be sure to stay tuned for that. All right, so I didn't know how to define this next section because it was just a bunch of stuff, but it was all DC movie stuff.
It's the McKays of news.
Yeah, so here we go. We've got
Which ones will I buy?
of new DC movie updates to talk about, and I thought we'd start at the top by talking about Joker. So there's been some rumors about Joker that's been flying around, leaked script that has some kind of interesting details. One of them was that, of course, the movie would be rated R, which has been in debate since we've first known about this project. But it seems that we've gotten some good, soft confirmation that that is indeed the case, or at least that it's intended to be a rated R movie. Director Todd Phillips has said, he went on Twitter to answer a question from a fan about the rating, and he said, it will be rated R. I've been asked about this a lot, just assumed people knew, sorry. So it seems like Todd Phillips always intended for this to be a rated R Joker story, which is interesting because in keeping with a lot of the kind of rumors we've heard from the script leak, there are some pretty violent parts to this film. Joker really does kill some people, and pretty cold-blooded murders that have been alluded to, like in the trailer. Mm-hmm. So it seems like an R rating is very necessary for this kind of story, and I think it's what most fans wanted. Like, I don't think anybody wanted to see a PG-13 version of Joker, even though you can make that whole argument about Heath Ledger's Joker in The Dark Knight being scary as hell and that being PG-13 and he's blasting people out of truck windows with a shotgun, and stuff like that, and which is all true. But I think this was the case where we really wanted to see DC films do something different, do something darker, do something edgier. Don't give us something that could fit in the DCEU. Like, if you're going to go out this route, like, let's go all the way. So that's good news for me.
Yeah, I'm honestly kind of in the same camp as far as, like, I assumed it
Yeah, me
was. Yeah, like, once we
Yeah.
heard that team, I was like, oh, okay, well, why would they bother making a PG-13 joke? We have so many great, by the way, PG-13 versions of Joker. So it's not that you can't do one. We have all this evidence to the contrary. It's just that we want something different, and when you get this kind of team together, you want to see them be able to explore those things.
Yeah. And, also, the trailer just kind of looks so unhinged.
Yeah.
It was like, it's absolutely rated R. I'm already creeped out by this trailer. So
I'm creeped out by it because Kofi keeps watching it behind me in my desk.
just hear the casual music slowly.
And then he
playing
sends me
behind you.
screenshots in Slack of the trailer.
I mean,
Yeah,
there you go.
That's not just behind you. I was watching it in a movie theater, to be fair, when I sent you a shot of the trailer playing in a movie theater. Just to let you know I'm dedicated, dog. You know?
Why do you watch it so much? But yeah, it looks good. I'm
like the
down for
trailer.
this. It is a great trailer.
It is an amazing trailer.
Yeah, so I like it. What can I say? I like the trailer. I'm down with Joker. All right, so moving right along. The next thing is the good people of Cine Europe got a first look at several DC films. Joker, they got to see something from. They got to see something from Wonder Woman 1984. And as well from the Birds of Prey movie, all of which will be hitting, Joker will be this fall, and then Birds of Prey and Wonder Woman 1984 will kind of be in the first half of next year. So we don't have like a whole lot about what they saw, except that, you know, they're kind of keeping tight-lipped on it. But it's good to know that it's kind of out there and people are getting looks, which kind of suggests we'll probably get some first looks pretty soon.
I'm curious though. Why are they getting looks now when WB just came out and said, like, we didn't have really anything prepared to show at Comic-Con?
I'm sure what they got is just like sizzle reel stuff. It's
mean,
not like all that thing. I mean, you're really sexing up this story for the listeners.
I'm just saying, like, that was what went through my mind when I wrote it. It was like, why are they getting this?
Why are they getting this?
Why
I
are
didn't
they
even know
getting
you
this?
wrote this. Yeah, you did.
And Comic-Con's like, oh,
I
hey.
wanted to see it.
I mean, I'm
Yeah.
sure it has to do with the platform because there's less pressure to debut it at something like Cine Europe, which I mean is a big deal abroad, but like it's more of like it's kind of more industry. Not a lot of public fandom people know it, as opposed to San Diego Comic-Con, which like my mom reads about. Like that,
And a group of fans is going to go into that, and if they see that,
Yeah, I
sizzle
think
reel,
it's just
they'll be bummed.
two very different places with two very different
And I think
expectations.
Warner Brothers has learned how to kind of drop things out there to test the waters and venues that will let them start to gauge reaction without, you know, sending out too much of a bad, you know, blip on the radar in case things go south.
I mean, I can't wait to see more from Wonder Woman 1984.
Yeah.
But Birds of Prey is the one that just I'm so curious about because that could either go so badly
Or
so well and just be
Exactly.
like the new Dark Horse movie that they have.
Yeah, and I hope like it's more kind of like its own exciting thing and less of a Suicide Squad like rehash, because that would be unfortunate.
Team Huntress, right?
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't want to see Margot Robbie be a two-time loser in the DCEU because she's been wonderful as Harley Quinn. So I want her to get a good franchise movie underneath her. So, I mean, we still don't know much about these films. I don't see us getting much of a look at Joker at all before it's time to hit theaters because we know that WB is skipping Hall H this year. They'll have presence at Comic-Con, but it will probably be just smaller promotional things. Maybe we'll get like a Joker trailer around that time that'll be on replay around the convention, something. Who knows?
If you didn't see anything else from Joker until it released, would you be okay?
Yeah, I would.
Yes,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
I mean, I don't think you need to sell this film. I think you've done it in one trailer as an origin story about the Joker, the end. Like, I don't need to, you don't need to tell me any of these other rumors I've been reading are true. Like, I don't need a trailer where he's obsessed with Thomas Wayne and Bruce Wayne, like, you know, and there's a possible connection between them and all that. Like, I don't need that as a hook.
Yeah.
Just seeing Joaquin Phoenix take on this character performance is pretty much the hook I need.
I'm typically the opposite when it comes to that. Like, I typically like seeing little pieces of footage spliced in, TV spots and stuff. For this one, I completely agree. Like, I'm in the thing. I'm sold.
Yeah.
Opening day, I'm there.
I'm gonna see it. Like that one trailer, I was like, but well, not yet. They're not out yet.
Yeah, they're
but
not.
someday.
It's only
someday.
theoretical buy.
Yes.
Yes.
Just to myself.
Hypothetical.
Agreed. Now, Birds of Prey, I definitely need to see something from.
Oh, yeah. We
Yes.
just got like that per little teaser we got as soon as they started production, which was like pretty good. Very excited by what I saw, but like it told me nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And by the
Absolutely
time Joker
nothing.
hits theaters, like, I need to see something like official, and maybe
Yeah.
a couple trailers and like a teaser.
Because it'll be coming
full
out February.
trailer. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Plus,
even not far from now.
Birds
so.
of Prey is not going to have that like name brand value as you're
No.
going to get with
So
Joker.
like, I need a teaser this summer and like a full trailer by the time Joker hits theaters.
Yeah,
like,
I'm gonna
to be
need some
honest.
character trailers.
And, yeah, you need to drum up some publicity for that
Mm-hmm.
because right now I feel like that's woefully under the radar with like
Very
mainstream
much.
viewers. Which brings us to our next topic of somebody who suffered from that: Shazam. Shazam.
Say the name.
Shazam. Not at all a bad film, but like we were just talking, like when it came out, pretty kind of underwhelming in the marketing department. Not enough penetration. in terms of marketing penetration. Like, not enough
I didn't
people,
even go.
not enough people.
You gave me that look of like, I'm like, I
I
didn't
just
even
realized
think
I heard it come out of my mouth, and I was just like, oh man. But not enough marketing penetration. Not enough people knew who Shazam was, what it was, and to go see it. And the film kind of underperformed. But that's not stopping me. And apparently, we're going into a sequel because this is all part of a larger franchise with The Rock's Black Adam movie, which now has a director. And Zachary Levi kind of revealed that he's expecting the script is already in progress, and he's expecting to shoot it late spring, early summer next year, which would probably put it in the 2021 to 2022 range for DC films. But seems like we're still pushing ahead with that Shazam sequel.
I'm surprised that this is so early because I was telling Megan before the show, we were talking about a little bit, like Shazam only made 363 mil worldwide. Like, I feel like if it's any other movie, because Shazam was so critically received well, I feel like it's getting that, okay, well, we can fix whatever. Like, the movie was good, it just didn't do the numbers, right? But I feel like if that was any other property, we wouldn't be getting a sequel. It would be in limbo like every other film is, of like, well, it didn't do well. And so I don't know what they can do in a sequel that, unless they put The Rock in it as Black Adam.
The only option.
But we're not getting his movie, right? Like, his movie won't be out before this sequel goes into effect. So that theory's kind of out the window. So I don't understand. Like, I feel bad for it because I don't know what they can do necessarily to they already made a good movie. It's not like you have to fix the ship.
I mean, there's speculation that it could be things. I mean, there's a lot of factors to this. I mean, they have a cast of kids who they don't want to start springing up and growing out like mustaches and stuff. So you might want to get that done.
It's like Mr. Mind is the one they set up, right? That's not going to sell tickets. Like,
no,
like,
I don't know. I think you have to do some kind of bigger DC movie connections to really sell this sequel.
Yeah.
And I don't know what that's going to be yet, but I think it has to be in there. But we're people we need to find a place for. We need to find a place for Ray Fisher Cyborg or things like that, or just whoever they put in Cyborg if those contracts are up. So
he still wants that Cyborg movie.
Yeah,
he's still pimping that thing.
He's very much just still wanting it. Like, give it to him.
Give him the.
So I mean, they haven't even officially announced Shazam 2. So this is really the first we've heard about this kind of pushing forward. So I'm still kind of skeptical. I'll be surprised until I hear this officially announced.
Yeah.
So I don't know if this is just an actor pushing for that next project or this is really happening. But color me surprised as well about this one. So moving right along. We're going to end our DC update with just two quick kind of anniversaries that passed this past Friday. Two interesting anniversaries. One is a real one. One is a would have been. This past Friday was the 6-year anniversary of Zack Snyder's DCEU kickoff film, Man of Steel. Still one of the most highly debated comic book movies. One of the most divisive Superman stories in any medium period. I've done many defense pieces for Man of Steel since 2013 when it came out. But I wrote a little nice anniversary defense piece of it from the modern era, kind of looking back. Had some funny stuff in there. Matt, you liked.
It was very good. I thoroughly recommend it.
But just kind of talking about Man of Steel, because I think it is more interesting. And I said this when the movie came out, that it was artistically sound enough that I felt like even with all the divisive stuff, people were going to be obsessed and talk about this movie for years to come, which to me is the sign of great cinema. It doesn't have to be popular right immediately in its day. It's about how it kind of lasts the test of time. And as time has gone on, I think Man of Steel there are more people who have more appreciation. It's kind of like the Star Wars prequels in the sense that as time passes, their opinion of it starts to kind of turn around. And I think there's less of the people who hate it and more of the people who either look back and say, that isn't actually such a bad comic book or superhero movie, especially when we've seen things like, the Batman vs. Superman theatrical cut or Justice League or some of those other terrible movies that have come along, Dark Phoenix. You look back at Man of Steel and there's an actual deep story there. And it is an interesting Superman story about trying to, it's now kind of happened and so we don't think about it, but like trying to bring Superman into the modern era was a huge undertaking back in the early 2010s because Superman Returns had come out and it did not connect. It did not connect. Trying to bring that Christopher Reeve nostalgia directly into the modern age, people were like not feeling that. So Man of Steel kind of went almost arguably, so far in the other direction, being like, here's real modern day kids. Superman breaks necks and eats people up. Like, that's the way it would be. Like, but in terms of the filmmaking, the action, the fights between superpowered Kryptonians, and just the drama and the kind of real deep ponderance of who Superman is. And the thing I like about Man of Steel the best is the way it transforms the Superman mythos, which was, Superman used to be this representative of all American people, right? Which meant, like, basically, like, a white guy growing up in Kansas in a farmland was Superman.
Yeah.
And Man of Steel really kind of, in very subtle ways from the moment it starts, takes the Superman mythos and says, Superman can be all these other things, these marginalized people of society. It starts out with Clark Kent literally in the closet of school, like, dealing with this identity he has and having to have his mother kind of console him. Great metaphor for just people of any lifestyle that feel in any kind of repressed lifestyle. Big immigrant story in there about, coming to this. Big things about God and religion and, like, all this stuff. And so, still love Man of Steel.
It doesn't come through at all, by the way.
No.
It's really like
I just realized I'm sitting here and I'm just like gushing about Man of Steel.
I love it.
Tangent,
I mean,
yeah.
Because you make really great points.
Yeah. Like, I love when I hear Kofi talking about it because he's just so, like, well thought out in his position. I'm like, everything you just said is the reasons why, like, I do really enjoy Man of Steel.
Yeah.
Which is just always so nice to hear. So thank you for explaining that.
Oh, no problem. I mean, it meant a great deal to me when it came out, and I just saw that, and I was like, man, like, yeah, this is a Superman story that I could get. And I mean, we can debate. I'm not going to sit here and say it's a perfect movie. There's things we can absolutely debate. We can debate the Pa Kent death.
I hate that.
That's like,
but you can have I refer to your saying now all the time. You can walk and chew gum, right?
Yeah.
So you can have a movie can be flawed, and you can find things that you don't love about it, and still, as a movie, as an overall experience, hold up. And that movie does. Like, that's the movie that I go back to always and go, man, that's why I feel robbed. Of a Cavill Superman that I was like, we saw it. Like, we saw what you can do with that combination. And then they get the next two movies.
And they just
it'd be this chopped and whatever. I'm like, oh my God, we had it.
And the full Batman v Superman takes that character and continues an interesting evolution with him, because Batman and Superman is him, like, actually struggling with this identity of him being this idealist and all this stuff, and the whole storyline of him hunting down the prisoner that Batman brands and getting manipulated about that whole thing, and his idealism work kind of getting twisted around by Lex Luthor is all very interesting. And, like, it would have been interesting in a Justice League movie where he comes back from the dead and we begin to get the Superman that we know and love, the wholesome, doesn't kill, who's learned how to be a hero the hard way. Like,
because that was the whole point of the arc. I mean, that was why Snyder got so much grief when he came out and was like, the point to having him in one of those divisive issues, right, is him killing Zod.
Yeah.
But it's the thing of, I wanted to show him as a flawed being and make the wrong choice. And then by the time we got to Justice League, you see how he becomes the Superman that everyone knows. You don't kill, you don't. And that's why he works as such a great opposite to Batman, right?
Yeah, right.
And that was like his plan. And you go, well, that makes sense. And even though people hated that decision at the time, I think now the time has gone on. And you see the form of the Snyder plan in whatever disheveled mess it is now.
Yeah.
You can kind of see that arc, and it makes me miss.
Yeah, I'm always going to wonder about that, because I think if we had seen the full thing, like, the idea of Superman being this flawed person who came from this very troubled place and how to use his power the wrong way, learns how to do it the right way, meets up with a person who has opposite ideals from him, slowly is affected by that person, but also very much affects that other person, and changes Batman into the leader that he has to be when Superman dies in the first part of Justice League, and getting back Superman and forming that whole trilogy between the two of them, and adding in Wonder Woman, and then having them all kind of affect each other and become this greater heroes. Like, it would have been a real epic journey. Like, we might have been like Endgame epic, but like, we're never gonna get there.
No.
Yeah, it took how many movies to get to Endgame?
Yeah.
That's the thing. It's like, I just wanted so much more space, and I understand studios, and there's so many cooks in the kitchen working on that vision, but fundamentally, I really appreciated the vision of what Snyder wanted to set out, and this has become like way more than Man of Steel. But what I saw in Man of Steel was like so exciting to me. Is like I was like high school or just started college, and I was like, this is awesome. Like, I'm so excited to see this. I just showed my age to everyone. Hi, hello. But like, it was so awesome. And then I've just kind of been sad ever since.
Yeah. And moving from that sad note to an even sadder note of half-formed, broken things, we're going to conclude today with our review of Jessica Jones Season 3.
Totally not where I thought he was going with that segue. But
I thought you were about to mention the other anniversary that never happened.
but it worked.
God.
But it
Wait,
totally
no,
works.
But we're not going to do that because there was another anniversary real quick. Last Friday, when Man of Steel would have been out for 6 years. Yes, another broken, lost thing. Would have been the anniversary.
Either way.
Yeah, either way.
Perfect
I mean,
segue.
this was just a bad Friday because all of these things happened on Friday. There was a Man of Steel anniversary, Jessica Jones Season 3 came out, and it would have been the release date of Justice League 2, which we've all been kind of living day by day, piece by piece, as Zack Snyder trickles out the information about what we would have gotten.
That dang dark side image. Oh.
This second chapter would have been like Empire Strikes Back. First Justice League, they would have defeated Steppenwolf. Superman would have come back. There were all these threads Snyder was working on with the thing for Batman v Superman with the time and the nightmare.
Yeah.
And in this one would have been the start of that nightmare world where they would have been kind of attacked by Darkseid. Like Superman comes back and is evil, and like basically they have to travel to Apocalypse to try to get Superman back. They get stuck there by the end of the film while Darkseid comes to Earth and just totally wrecks Earth. Setting up Justice League 3 and this crazy Back to the Future 2 double time travel like finale that we've talked about on the podcast before, and you should read about if you can. But yeah, it would have been Justice League 2. So that was just sad on that day
could have been.
because like, yeah, we were all, I remember when Justice League was announced and it was going to be 2 films right off the bat, like Endgame and Infinity War style. And then it got cut down to 2 separate films. Then just 1 film, then just half of a film.
Yeah, pretty much.
And then, So it would have been the anniversary or the release date of Justice League 2. So that's what could have been.
Pour one out.
Pour one out if
Let's
you got
think
it.
of what
I would
will
do it
be
with my
one
cup
day.
here, except Brittany and
Exactly.
Tony.
Yeah, I'm over here trying to bring light into this.
Yeah,
corner of
you
the
be
room.
hopeful.
Let's think of what will be one day when they get their
I have no
mess
idea
all
where they're
figured
going with
out.
all this right now, so I don't even know.
We got Wonder Woman 1984.
Justice League. I don't even know when or if
Step
you
by
will
step.
see
Yes.
the words Justice League on a film marquee again.
it's gonna be
They will not name it Justice League. Whenever they're ready to do this again, it will just be called like the League.
It'll be
They're
like
not
one of
gonna
those
do it.
off-brand toys you find,
just
like League
whatever
of
the story
Justice.
arc is. Tower of Babel. DC's Tower of Babel. or whatever.
I'd
Yeah,
watch that.
they're not going to do it.
But anyway, the other sad thing that happened on Friday was the release of Jessica Jones Season 3, which has been one of the most acclaimed and kind of artistically sound Marvel Netflix shows across the board. Season 1 was a classic with its just kind of mystery thriller. David Tennant as Kilgrave, one of the best MCU villains, hands
Absolutely.
down. And yeah, that whole thing with him as the Purple Band and being able to mind control people and all the great surprises that did throughout the season, where every time you think it was like a calm scene, one of Jessica Jones's friends turns out to be like psycho killer, like under possession or something. Season 2 was slower and a little bit darker and more serious and brooding character work, which a lot of the second seasons of the Marvel Netflix shows were. So it was about Jessica and her mom and PTSD. Because the first one was about kind of this metaphors for like rape and sexual abuse and domestic abuse and all this stuff that was done really well with us in the superhero framework. Season 2 got a little bit deeper, but was very good about like exploring this female character, probably one of the best female superhero character
Absolutely.
kind of explorations so far. But unfortunately, Season 3 is just kind of a lemon. It's kind of a dud. I don't know if that's because the show has lost steam and the characters are just kind of spinning their wheels. I think there's a little of that, but it's also, I think, the perception of Marvel Netflix is over.
Yeah.
This is just kind of like the last leavings, and the enthusiasm is just not there.
Like it
anymore.
got Dark Phoenix, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's absolutely no conversation about Jessica Jones as like this season in and of itself as a piece of work.
I didn't even remember it was out.
Yeah.
Producer Jim Viscardi asked me on Friday, hey, you're going to write some stuff about Jessica Jones Season 3? I'm like, what the hell are you talking about?
It snuck up on me, man.
He's
It's
like,
not even on the
out.
queue.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
It wasn't even at the top
No.
of the queue.
I mean,
Netflix? No. I was on Netflix on Friday I was watching stuff. I was watching When They See Us. I watched 50 things on Netflix on Friday. Yep. Not one, hey, Kofi, you might want to watch this. Like, nothing. I had to go searching.
Sure, the algorithm on Netflix should have recommended it.
Right? Yeah, I mean, like, I'm getting Wanda Sykes stand-up special recommended to me, and I don't have Jessica Jones. It just came out.
Yeah,
I'm not going to beat it up because I've loved Kristen Ritter ever since, like, The Bee in Apartment 23 and Breaking Bad, and she was great as Jessica Jones. She's one of the best MCU kind of main players, I think. But this one is just kind of like I said, spinning their wheels. They just they go back into the character arcs from season 2. Season 2 was super dark with all these character arcs. Like, nobody in Jessica Jones is happy. Like, everybody's really screwed up.
Ever happy.
And screwed up with, like, really serious real-world issues, like addiction, sexual addiction, or, like, sexual exploitation. Like every weird, horrible abuse that you could think of somehow worked into Jessica Jones's characters. And this one is just them kind of doing more brooding and dealing with that. There's some new comic book Marvel Comics characters that are introduced, but they're not comic booky at all. Like, this feels like very stripped down of all the Marvel comic book things. Except for some references, some on-the-nose, hokey references, like we get like a Wildcat costume.
You didn't like the Hellcat costume?
Or the Hellcat costume. No, I mean, I liked it, but it was like one of the only comic book things in this season.
And then they do and it's played snarky.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
It's like,
and everything comic bookish is kind of played snarky, which is funny up to a point for Jessica Jones because that's how she is, and like it was great in like The Defenders.
Yeah.
But this is a Marvel show, and it should feel like that and just not like some horrible Lifetime series. And by the end of this is like kind of like when you're getting the climactic fight of this thing, like, and I'm not going to spoil the whole season, but like it's just very anticlimactic, and it's all about the characters and their relationships and all the actors in it. Carrie-Anne Moss, Rachel Taylor, who plays Trish, her best friend, and Kristen Ritter, like I said, are all very good. But like, this one just feels like it was spinning its wheels, kind of going nowhere, and the added detriment of it being the kind of last cough of exhaust from Marvel Netflix is it's kind of a sad way to end.
Yeah, I just felt bad because, like, I haven't gotten to finish the season yet, but I'm a few episodes in because I was helping someone move this past weekend. But, like, the episodes I did see, it just felt like the not good episodes of, like, Law & Order SVU.
Yeah. That's...
Like, the very bland episodes, like, so standard. If I just showed this to someone who's completely unattached to the Marvel Universe in any way, they would just think it was, like, standard, just like a standard kind of mediocre, like... kind of thriller series.
Are you watching that on Ion? Yeah.
Like that thing. Like,
it feels like early '90s days of somebody trying to do like a Marvel superhero TV show.
Which
like,
is so disappointing.
Have the budget, or the really know how to do it, so you just kind of dress it up in a couple little.
And that's so crazy because of all the talent involved, and the fact that it's the third season of one of the highest. And Daredevil has some of those same hallmarks of like working with dark themes constantly, whatever. But they're very good about having at least a few characters to keep the lightheartedness afloat.
And its third season was
A+. So I expected a lot more. So
I was expecting a lot more too.
So, I mean, we could tell you guys to go watch Jessica Jones Season 3. I mean, only if you're a Marvel Cinematic Universe diehard and you've been with the series, you love the characters, you love the performers, then go ahead and finish it out. But, I mean,
watch Wanda.
It's kind of hard to press play. What's that?
Watch Wanda Sykes.
Watch Wanda Sykes. And there you have it. That's where we're going to end.
There we go. That's
recommendation for the Wanda Sykes comedy special, Comic Book Nation. So I heard we're here first. All right, that'll do it for this episode of Comic Book Nation. If you guys want to join in any of the conversations we've been having, you can always find us on social media at Comic Book Nation, or hashtag Comic Book Nation, sorry. If you're just now getting becoming aware of the show and you want to jump in for the full journey, which I highly recommend you do, become part of the family, you can always find us on any of your listening platforms. We are on iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, iHeart, Google Playlist, Google Podcast, or you can tell any Amazon Alexa device, play Comic Book Nation podcast, and it will fire up for you. We post new episodes of the show every Wednesday and every Friday on Comicbook.com, where we have an RSS feed you can subscribe to so you can get regular updates about new episodes of the show. If you want to talk to any of us individually, you can find me at Kofi Outlaw.
You can find me at Matt Aguilar CB.
And I am at Megan Peters CB.
And if you like the show, please leave us a 5-star review on any of the platforms you use or listen on. We will be reading reviews pretty regularly, and anybody who leaves us a 5-star review that we read on the show, we will send you some comic book swag, including now official Comic Book Nation t-shirt, which I am very happy about.
They look slick.
Yeah, they're really slick. They look good. So if you are a fan of the show and you know who you are out there, you guys make sure you leave us a review so we can get you a Comic Book Nation t-shirt and you guys can represent in full. That'll do it for us here at Comic Book Nation. We hope to see you guys next episode and every episode thereafter until we get fired. We're out of here.
See ya.